Aloha, love pups, and welcome back to more The Kid at the Back, except this game has been completely rewritten, so we gotta start back again from day one. Yeah, I'm so excited, to be completely honest. It just came out, like, last year sometime. Like, I want to say towards the end of last year, but I couldn't record it, because I was doing so much other things at the time. But before we get into it, let's go over the content warnings. So, we're playing the safe for work build, obviously. And it has screen shaking and motion, graphic violence, blood, gore, amputation, and beheadings. Okay. Major character death, player character death, lovely. How many times am I gonna die in this? The usage of weapons, guns, and pistols, sharp objects and knives, drugging, implied child neglect and abuse. So, if you are uncomfortable with the warnings listed above, then please exit the game, or in our case, please leave this video and go watch a different video. That's not one of my mature ones. And to see a full list of content warnings through this link, I will have some more content warnings probably at the beginning of this video. I don't know if I was smart enough to do that in editing, but we shall see in the future. Anyways, I don't want to quit. I want to... Oh, giant eyeball. Let's go. This game is still in development and incomplete and may be prone to encountering some bugs and errors. This game is rated 18+. Minors are strictly prohibited from playing this game or engaging in any shape or form of the game. In no way, shape, or form. The creator condones or accepts the illegal and horrible actions shown in game made by the characters. This visual novel is made for creative venture and is pure fiction and should not be romanticized or replicated in real life. It is highly discouraged. Warnings. This game includes explicit and dark themes such as death, murder, sexual assault, non-consensual touching, implied abuse, and sexual themes that may be sensitive for some audiences. You may see the full list of warnings here or on the game's main menu. By agreeing to these terms, you are hereby allowing yourself to indulge with the game and its contents with full understandings, and are able to differentiate between fiction and reality. Are you sure you would like to proceed? Yep. Yep. Let me through. It was many and many a year ago, in a kingdom by the sea, that a maiden there lived who you may know by the name of Annabel Lee. Day 1, the beloved. And class dismissed. By our next meeting, I need a full report on everyone's poem that they have chosen. I will not accept one paragraph. I need 2 whole pages filled with words. Everyone got that? The classroom broke into a series of, "Yes, professor," while some spared no time in packing their things, eager to be dismissed and disregarding the teacher altogether. Your literature teacher packs up her own things and exits the classroom. The moment your literature teacher left, the classroom broke into small groups as each student gathered up to meet with their respective cliques. Some engaged in conversations, while some spared no time in exiting the classroom. A yawn escaped your lips. You turned your head and observed the clouds outside. The clouds are shaded in dark gray. The sky's once blue color is now turning the same lighter shade of gray. The looming threat of rain made you click your tongue in irritation. Just my luck. I didn't bother to bring an umbrella, too. Standing up from your seat, you were about to grab your bag when you felt a tap on your shoulder. Turning around, you came face to face with cobalt blue eyes. Her blonde hair shaped like swirls with its ends dyed in blue and pink, complementing her entire ensemble, even if it's just a white button-up that clearly looks too small for her. I say she's rocking it. What do you guys think? Hot pink jacket tied around her waist and the school's black skirt. Her hand, which you assumed was the same one that tapped your shoulder, hung up in the air. She seemed unsure whether to continue or not, judging from the way her eyebrows furrowed downward while biting her glossed lower lip. She turned slightly, her head not fixed on you, but rather on whoever is behind her. You hear her whisper something under her breath before eventually composing herself and turning her focus solely on you now. Hey, you're going to lunch with us, right? I mean, you should. I don't usually see you in the cafeteria often, so you must not be eating properly. Thanks. How can you keep up with classes looking like that? Very, very easily, I assure you. Excuse me? You took a step back, clenching the strap of your bag as you glare at the blonde woman before you. Who was this woman? Who does she think she is? Judging from the woman's expression, she finally came to realize the words that came out of her mouth. Brittany! A familiar voice interrupted the two of you. Man, I love their friendship. It's so cute. It kind of hurts that Jess, though, I think that's her name, Jessica. But it kind of hurts that she has a crush on Brittany, but she knows Brittany doesn't retaliate those feelings. It's like a love triangle going in, because I forgot the football dude's name, but he has like a major crush on Jess. Why is Jess the only one I remember, besides Crow? You turned your head to where the voice was, and there stood none other than your old friend. Oh, it wasn't. It wasn't Jess, it was Crow. That's really insensitive of you. Imagine if someone else told you about how you look. His familiar orbs of azure blue, nearly replicating lapis lazulis, and his chocolate brown hair tied loosely in a low braid. Sun-kissed skin enhanced his handsome features, adorned with a black long-sleeve button-up and an indigo vest to add to his clean look. He is known as Jericho Ichabod. Crow for short, the class representative and a close friend of yours. Hey, Crow. Well, the only close friend you have. Crow made his way to your side with a hand on his hip. He reprimands the blonde-haired woman next to you, and the said woman just shrugged her shoulders. He placed a hand over your beating heart. The close proximity between you two caused the blush to appear in your cheeks. No matter how many times you get close to him or getting near you, or him getting near you, you'll never get used to it. His whole aura just gives a warm feeling in you, the butterflies in your stomach thrashing and raging, begging to be released. Yeah, you may have a bit of a crush on him. Just a little bit, guys, just a little bit. It's nothing serious, I swear. The woman named Brittany just rolled her eyes, seemingly used to Crow's reprimands. Well, you're the one who insisted on me initiating talk. You could have done it more nicely, you know. Like a simple invite alone. Crow gives you a small smile while handing out something to you. You look down to see it. It was your ID. He dropped this, by the way. Did I? Did I? My name is Althemia. That isn't my H type anymore. Is my H key dying? Oh. Oh geez, it might actually be dying. Oh no. Okay. I'll figure that out later. Althemia Mele. The ID shows my name, Althemia Mele, along with my pronouns. She, her, and hers. You stare at your own ID picture and see yourself more feminine. You use feminine terms, it will be called a girl/woman. You looked at your ID picture, seeing a young woman and reading your name with your eyes. Althemia Mele. Pronouns, she, her. Yep. Her fingers briefly brushed against his. You bit your lip, then muttered a small thank you before pocketing your school ID. Crow gives you a close-eyed smile, returning with his own thank you, then turns his attention back towards Brittany. You don't have to go too hard on her, you know, Crow? Like, it's fine, really. Like, I don't know. It's not like she meant it. She was just, you know, trying to do what you kind of told her to do. Following up behind Brittany are three more people. The tallest of the three is a sporty-looking man clad in a green and yellow jersey with the number 10 settled in front. His eyes are a bright green, the color that kind of reminds you of green apples. You know, his eyes do look like green apples. His skin a beautiful brown that nearly matches his curly hair, while stubble is nestled on his chin, indicating his maturity. The second tallest is a man in a purple hoodie. His eyes are sharp and slanted, with long lashes, adorned with teal-colored orbs underneath. His hair is straight and styled into a hime cut, save for a short strand tied with a red ribbon, and a low ponytail bound with the same shade of red behind him. He looks uninterested with what is going around at the very moment. And the last but not the least is the shortest of the three, maybe within the group as well. Her skin pale, her face dotted with a few freckles, then and there, as a rectangular-shaped frames shield away orange orbs. Her hair is short and loose like waves. She wears a black button-up under an orange vest and a black shirt matching Brittany's. Damn, Britt! You sure are bad at socializing. Hey, Gio, seems like you have a competition. The tall jock clad in a yellow and green sports jersey lets out a loud laugh, causing some students to turn to look at him. Brittany's face grew red from embarrassment, gritting her teeth. She crossed her arms while tapping her foot on the ground. This only made the jock laugh even harder. Shut the fuck up, Derry. You're causing a scene. Also, if you were me, you would have done just as badly. That is, in fact, not true. I'm a lovable guy. Oh yeah? As the two argue, you turn your head towards the other tall male in the hoodie. Sensing your gaze, he looks down at you, his hand still in his hoodie's pocket. What's up? A sudden chill went down your spine. You quickly averted your gaze away from the imposing male and landing on the meek girl in orange right beside Brittany. She hasn't spoken since she arrived with the two males, but judging from how attached she is to Brittany, you're guessing she's closer of her than the rest of the group. She kind of reminds you of yourself when you were still new to the school with no one to talk to. Not until Crow befriended you, of course. Were you as clingy to Crow back then as she is with Brittany now? Sorry, they're kind of a rowdy bunch, huh? I hope you're not too overwhelmed. They sure are something. Look, Althemia, you're still free not to join us for lunch if you're uncomfortable. Meeting new people is overwhelming. I just want to let you know that I respect your feelings and that you matter, Althemia. Crow reassures you with a worried smile on his lips. He turned back to the group. The tall jock named Darrow not bothering Gio with an arm around his shoulder. The visible irritation on Gio's face did nothing to sway Darrow's happy-go-lucky personality. Brittany leans on one of the desks with her arms crossed, striking a conversation with the bespectacled girl next to her. What's her name? I didn't seem to catch it last time. Crow glances at who you were pointing at. Ah, Jessie? Jessie, that's her name. You can call her Jess for short. She's best friends with Brittany. She kind of reminds me of you back when we first met. All shy and quiet. Only that you're cuter. Ah! Huh? Crow pinches your cheeks playfully and you groan, but your mock annoyance is betrayed by the small smile that formed on your lips. Okay, fine, he got me. How time flies, huh? That's right, you got yourself acquainted with Crow in your sophomore year. Before you left for the city, your father emphasized the importance of having companions and establishing friendships, most especially in this college. Olympias University, the largest university in Titan City. It is known for having the best facilities and the best education where you're guaranteed to rise from the bottom to the top. Well, that's what the advertisement tells you. You tried getting to know people during your first year, but to no avail. No matter how much you tried to make friends, you just couldn't seem to bring yourself to talk to anyone. And to your dismay, no one seems to bother to even befriend you. Sure, you would talk with a few classmates for projects, but nothing goes beyond that. As if they're scared of you. Or more like disgusted. You can never tell. The looks you've received have all been mixed signals. Some bad, some out of pity. That is, until Crow came into the picture. Among everyone, Crow was the sole person who approached you with the initiation of friendship. You were wary of him at first. Why would someone want to befriend you out of nowhere? Your past experiences caused you suspicion. You've had a history of people who tried to earn your good graces because you were somehow beneficial to them. You thought Crow would be the same case, so you ignored him. But then he kept following you, trying to strike a conversation with you every now and then. You tried to dismiss him, ignoring his presence as usual. But Crow was determined to break down your walls and kept insisting on tagging along until it annoyed you once. Just once. And that is, until it happened on the last day of your first semester in your sophomore year. You fell victim to one of the school's biggest hidden flaws. If Crow wasn't there to stop them, you could not begin to imagine what might have happened to you. Oh, look at him! Oh my stars, he's so cute! Thank goodness you're unharmed. You're concerned about me? How about you? You're the one who's hurt. Thinking back, you thought he was crazy and stupid. Taking blow after blow until the perpetrators got bored and left the both of you. Well, that's the whole point, right? As long as you're not hurt, this is nothing. You're crazy. You know that? He just laughs it off, wincing due to the bruises on his face. Never got your name, crazy person. It's Jericho. Jericho Ichabod. But just call me Crow. Nice to meet you, Crow. I'm Althemia. You brought him to the clinic that day and became inseparable ever since. Right after that incident, Crow promised to never get in fights again and continues to keep his word on it. You really owe it to him. He looked back up at Crow. He tilts his head. Something on your mind, Althemia? Nothing. Just happy that you're my friend. Oh. He looked at you with raised eyebrows, probably surprised at how random your thoughts seem. He didn't say anything as you let your words sink in, and his usual gentle smile appeared on his face. Crow inched closer to you, indicating that he feels the same way. Brittany must have taken notice of the amount of time wasted in talking and arguing as she turns to you one last time. We've talked a little bit too much. We'll end up not getting any seats if we keep this up. So, are you coming with us or not? Caught up in your little daydream about the past, Brittany finally spoke up, catching your attention. You looked back at Crow, recalling his words. Don't force yourself to join if you're still uncomfortable. You then decide to... Hang on, let me save. Save! Because we're gonna come back to these choices. We're gonna go to the... I wonder how similar this is to the version before. Obviously, we already ran into some differences, but let's go somewhere else. We'll start from the bottom and go up. You glance at the blonde-haired woman as she waits for your answer. You turn to Crow. He too was anticipating an answer from you as a nervous drop of sweat rolled down his temple. You've got to be honest. Crow was right. All of this is still quite overwhelming to you. Throughout your years here, you've only gotten used to Crow's presence and his alone. But then yesterday, he introduced you to his new group of friends you didn't know he had. You're happy for him. You really are. Why does it feel like a lie whenever you tell yourself that? And why does your heart swell and your stomach churn from the thought of him not being by your side all the time? The horrible feeling of green envy and raging jealousy consumes you ever since the thought came across your mind. A sudden lump made its way to your throat, hindering you from forming words as you can feel your eyes threatening to water while your shoulders started trembling. You need to get out of here. I need to go. Althemia? You ignored him in the group as you pushed him away, earning a shocked look on both Brittany and Crow's face. Althemia! Wait! Damn, I didn't think Brittany would make someone cry by being so bad at communication. For fuck's sakes, Derry, shut up. I didn't mean it, okay? What? I'm right, aren't I? I'm going after her. Huh? Ichabod! Crow didn't listen to his friends calling out his name, especially Geo, as he ran after Althemia, rushing out of the room hoping to catch up to her. He shoved through to see his students, receiving some irritated looks after pushing them aside. Their looks don't matter to you, however, as you tried to get out of the crowd as quickly as possible. Althemia, wait! A crow's booming voice behind you isn't helping. Your rising anxiety and your tears now slowly cascading down your cheeks. Althemia, please wait. What's wrong? Stop! The crow cries out with each breath he takes. You keep on ignoring him. You turn a corner hoping to lose Crow in the crowd. The worried tone in his voice just makes the ache in your chest more and more painful. You did not care how many floors you ascended as you ran up from one floor to another, nearly tripping on the school's bad architecture. Oh, we're on the roof. Before you knew it, you made it to the school's rooftop. Pressing an ear on the door, you don't hear Crow's call anymore, and you let out the breath that you've been holding. And then, everything slowly crashed down on you. You fell down on your knees and hugged them, not bothering of how dirty the floor is anymore. You look up as a few droplets of rain slowly drop down from the sky, a reflection of the salty tears now staining your cheeks. I'm so pathetic. Crow is his own person. I feel so selfish to even think I'm his only friend like he is to me. Of course he can have other friends besides me. But why does it hurt? Is it because I'm just a nobody? All of them look so cool, especially that Brittany girl. She's tall and pretty. Heck, I might mistake her for a model if it weren't for her uniform. She seems like Crow's type. A familiar, ugly feeling made its way to your chest. You tightly clenched your fist to where your aching heart is. You want to rip it out in the open and toss it from the edge of this building. Will he leave me if he deems me unworthy? Was I ever worthy to be beside him? You can't think anymore. You don't want to think anymore. Tears now flooding your eyes as your sniffles turn to sobs and you bury your face on your knees. As you cry your heart out, the rain now heavy as if resonating with your sorrows. I do like the soft rain in the background. You have no idea how long you've been crying, but you've run out of tears to shed, and I've been staring at a blank space for a while now. Maybe it's time to head back. You look up at the dark skies. The rain's slightly calmer, but still not stopping its downpour. Standing up and dusting your back, you're about to grab the handle when you heard another voice from the other side. Your heartbeat quickened. You swore you were alone when you got here. And you were blocking the door the entire time, so someone coming in would be near impossible. You're curious how this individual managed to get past you. Or maybe they were just here before you. Who knows? Forgetting your initial plan, you slowly approach the voice, making sure not to make too much noise as possible. Just as you suspected, there is someone. A young man in a green vest. Must be his uniform. Hair in the shade of light blue, like how they remind you of the skies before it darkened, tied into a low ponytail by a white ribbon. He seems to be in a deep conversation with whoever it was behind the phone he held to his ear. You can't quite hear the conversation he was having, much less understand what he's talking about. You assume he is speaking in a whole new different language. You step back. You're guessing this student is a foreigner. Seeing that he seems to pose no threat, you were about to leave when you felt a hand grab your shoulder. You stood frozen on your spot as you felt a huff of breath fan your neck. Something cold and sharp touched the side of your throat, and you were no fool to understand quickly that it was a small knife he's threatening you with. Who are you? Speak. Unless you want to get yourself into big trouble. I'm just gonna save here again. I'm gonna surrender. I'm a chicken. I'm Althemia Mele from Class 4B. Please don't kill me. You yelp out, the hand on your shower wet and loose as you feel him withdraw the knife. Taking it as a chance to push yourself off of him and turning around to face the blue-haired knife-wielding student, you had the urge to throw a punch to his face. Instead, you didn't. Rather, what you came face to face with is a look of confusion across his face and a hand under his chin. He isn't even looking at you. How rude! Althemia Mele. Why does that name sound familiar? In Class 4B too. Now's your chance. While he's distracted by his own thoughts. You pathetically threw a punch at him. He, however, merely catches your fist with a single palm. His other hand never leaving his chin as he keeps pondering over his thoughts. Why did you even bother? You were never the strongest in your family. I remember now. You swore you saw a light bulb lit up above his head. He lets go of your fist and pockets his tiny knife, which turned out to be a foldable pocket knife, and gives you a bright smile as if he didn't just threaten your life mere seconds ago. What impeccable timing you have at the moment, Althemia. He puts his hands together like a prayer and bows down, double-taking his sudden shift in attitude. I'm in need of your help. You see, I can't attend my next class due to some familial emergency, and I promised my partner I'll be there. But seeing that you're in Class 4B, can you take over for me? What? What does this guy think he is? Your next class is Art Appreciation with Mr. Allen, right? Correct? And how does he know your next class is Art Appreciation with Mr. Allen? Whoa, hold on. First of all, who the fuck are you? Second, why do you have a pocket knife within school campus? And third, why would I agree to your terms after you literally just threatened my life just like that? As if realizing the situation, he lets out a gasp, his mouth shaping an F. He fixes his posture and gives you a wink and a thumbs up. The name's Hugo Sugimoto. I'm from Class 4A, but I often have classes mixed with Mr. Allen to catch up on my missing subjects from my past years. And this guy is a clear troublemaker. He just rubs the back of his head and chuckles as he continues with your next question. Taking out the pocket knife, he dangles it like some toy and presents it to you, like it's the most exquisite thing you've ever laid your eyes on. You rolled your eyes. This? He waves the pocket knife left and right. It's for self-defense. The guards are quite shitty at their jobs and inspecting each bag. Things as little as these are easy to slip by. Plus, it's quite useful if you're ever in a pickle. We're in school grounds. Just use scissors like any other normal human being. What? How is that any more normal? He puts his tool back in his pockets. And as for your last question, his expression relaxed, his goofy persona thrown out of the window as quick as it came. His tone now a bit serious with the gaze fixated on you. Do you have friends, Althemia? Okay, that kind of offended you a little. Yes, I do. Yeah, but don't you ever think you feel like you're not doing much for them? That made you shut your thoughts up. Not gonna lie, he's not really the best guy out there. He blabbers on with the thoughts of whoever his friend is, but judging from the way he talks, he seems to care for him, admire him even. But people tend to misunderstand him. Quite a lot. Heck, even I did. I thought I couldn't trust this guy with anything. Like, how you don't trust Crow with anything before. Sorry for threatening you with a knife, Althemia. But what I'm saying is that oftentimes I can never be there for him. I've given up on the thought of staying by his side. But you, however, there's a gleam in his eyes you couldn't seem to decipher. Maybe you'll understand him. Get to the point. Please be his partner for your art class. And he's down on his knees like a begging clown. The serious tone he had beforehand is now replaced with a blabbermouth crybaby before you. Seriously, he had you fooled there for a hot second. Okay, I'll be your friend's art class partner. Get the fuck up. You mean it? Thank you, Althemia. I knew you were the right person. Jess, who is this friend of yours anyways? His name is Soul. Don't worry, you won't miss him. Without sparing you another second and trying to ask for more information from him, he gives you a friendly pat on the shoulder before leaning in and whispering. Wipe your tears away, Althemia. Crying does not suit people like you. And with that, he's going down the stairs. He only stared at the now open door, your feet rooted on the cold floor from pure shock. How does he know I was crying? You were now walking down the hallway. A few students were heading to their own respective classes, while some went to where the library was. Althemia! One heart attack after the other, you swore the state refuses to give you a break. You aren't ready to face Crow yet. He's probably worried sick, especially with what you pulled minutes ago. You were probably lost in your thoughts for too long that you suddenly felt arms wrapped around you. Crow's face buried at the crook of your neck as he held you tight. His shoulders were shaking. There was no one else behind him. It was just you and him. I looked around the campus for you. Where have you been? You bit your lip, not giving him a chance to hear your voice. Crow pulls away from your neck, but still kept his hold around you. He refused to look him straight in the eyes, and he didn't push you for it, already satisfied with you in his arms. A sigh escaped his lips. With one hand, he cups your cheek and rubs it with his thumbs as he observes your red and swollen eyes. He bit his lower lip, a flash of regret made apparent within his eyes. Just then, behind the both of you, you heard a lone student call onto Crow's name. You swore that Crow's eyebrows arched and twitched as if irritated. There you are, Ichabod. Your presence is required by the council. Ooh. We angry. I don't fucking care. Oh, was that Ichabod? I couldn't quite hear you. We get to see so many different sides of people. I'm loving this. I'll be right there, Crow says, his back still facing the student. The student merely raised a brow, but didn't insist any further and walks away in the opposite direction. Crow lets out a tired sigh as he returns his full attention to you. Give me a text once you're ready to talk. Pulling away, albeit hesitantly, he rummages for something in his pockets before taking one of your hands and placing something in it. While turning your head, you looked down and saw a handkerchief on your palm. I'll see you later, Althemia. He turns on his heel, moves to the same direction where the student from before had headed. Once he was gone from your sight, you squeezed his handkerchief and used it to wipe your cheeks, despite the salty tears that dried at this point. Pocketing the blue handkerchief, you slowly made your way to your next class. Okay, we're gonna save. No. Yeah, actually, I want to save here real quick. Because before we continue, I want to load this and see if we actually do die. I want to see what happens if we stay silent real quick. Not talking, huh? You have the right to remain silent. But in this case, I need you to talk. You feel the sharp edge of the knife cut through your skin. The stinging sensation made your head spin as you slowly started breathing fast. In your state of panic, you tried to jab his abdomen with your elbow, hoping to catch him off guard to escape, only to have him grab the same elbow and twist it behind your back, earning a loud squeal from you. I'm Althemia Mele class for me. It's the same thing. Okay. So that was not one of the scenes. Okay. We don't need to read all that again. So we don't have to go back to that one at least. Load this one. I was super curious. It was gonna like drive me crazy if I didn't do it real quick. Barely making it to your next class, you slid the classroom door open, earning you a few looks for the students inside the room. Turning to the podium, you exhaled a breath you didn't realize you were holding when you realized that your teacher was still absent. Whew. Fixing your composure, you scanned the room. A few easels and shelves filled with brushes and bottles stained with acrylic paint guaranteed that you made it to the right class. Upon scanning the room, you thought back to what the guy who threatened you with a knife on the rooftop promised you. I won't miss him, huh? Well, that's the hard part. Everyone here looks like they're hard to stop from how colorful they are. Typical art students with their colorful hair and looks and the way they dress. never heeding to the school's strict rules since they're never really affected by said rules. The liberty of a course not strict to academics. But you also took notice of some students who are in the course. You're guessing they took the subject as a minor subject. So either this sole character is an art student or some regular student. You gave up in your search and took your seat. In any case, you'll find out which one is Soul once the class starts. Hearing the classroom door open, your art professor makes his way inside, his large belly standing out. Round spectacles sitting on top of his nose, and a stereotypical brown beret on his head. He greets the class before starting his lecture. Art exhibit project features various eras of art as part of our thesis. This time we're asked with expressionism. Remember, this is all part of your paper, and not to mention making a name for yourself, of course. Ho ho ho! More like taking the credit of a student's work and using it to advertise your shitty school. You scoffed at the thought. Hope you all got a partner already by this time. For this term, I'm tasking you all to create 3 works based on the exhibit's theme. This is where you want to throw your desk out the window. How could you forget? You weren't present during the previous meeting, and you absolutely knew no one in this specific class. Why were you taking art again? Oh right, your father was an artist as he was a farmer. It was all for him, and maybe you can make a name for yourself with your works, if ever your life as a gardener wouldn't turn out the way it should. All part of plan B, and if that fails, I've got plan C and D. I have yet to make up the rest. Or, yes, I'll die. You shake away your silly thoughts. The problem is now at hand. You do not have a partner to work with. Now I want all of you to go to your chosen partner for this project so I can start explaining your tasks. Eventually you are forced out of your seat since your seatmate's partner will be occupying it for the class. Now's the perfect time to look for the soul person Hugo was talking about. But up until now, you have no idea to what he looks like. You're hoping he's a good person to work with and wouldn't pull all the workload on you. You shiver at the thought. You've had enough of those kinds of people in your life, especially during your entire college years. Unlike the rest of the class scurrying around to meet their partner, you were the only fool who was standing still. Not on the only one standing, because from the corner of the classroom, there's a single student not bothering to stand up from their seat. Their seatmate had left to pair with someone else, leaving a vacant spot. That guy might be Soul? Well, we'll find out soon enough. Is he not going to bother with his partner? Unless... Hey there. He looks up from his desk and looks at your approaching form before you eventually standing next to him. It's you. Seems like you're a bit lost there. Do you have a partner? Hey, our thing matches his necklace. Does he have that necklace before? I don't think he did. No. Well, just your luck then. Me neither. So, you want to be partners? Sure, why not? He took the vacant seat right beside him. His book now tucked away, and on his desk is now a pen and a piece of paper, seemingly ready to take notes. What's this heart? Oh, this is what they were taught. Oh, I'm not leaning toward. I'm leaning more towards soul right now. Okay. Okay. Hey, I never got to know your name. It's not quite important. Well, I should at least know what to call you instead of Green Street Guy. He raised a brow at your silly nickname you gave him before slightly shaking his head. Sullivan Brugmancia. But just call me Soul. Soul. Soul means sun or brightness, right? Soul nods, rubbing the back of his head. You can say that. My mother gave me that name. It's a lovely name. Thanks. Well, I'm Althemia Mele. Nice to finally know your name, Sol. Sol nods with a smile forming on his lips, then returning to his attention back to the professor. Three artworks to showcase. Note, it has to be some form of expressionism. Mediums will be strictly traditional. Your professor then proceeds to give the other pointers for your project before leaving you and the rest of your class for today. Everyone in the classroom proceeds to talk with their partners, already brainstorming ideas on what they're going to showcase and hopefully could get a high grade on. You turn to Sol as he took out his own charcoal pencil and his sketch pad for your class. You got any plans for our first display, Sol? Expressionism is about conveying one's feelings, right? The easiest for now is a portrait. Let's use your face as an example. My face? He lets out a low chuckle. There, you're making a cute expression right now. That can be considered as expressionism. He seems like he already has an idea on what to do. And judging from that half-filled sketchbook of his, he's quite familiar with the concept of art. Me, however, pretty great at art. If you would give me the honors to draw you, go ahead. At least I could count on you. As you were taking out your materials, you called back to the student back at the rooftop. This made you wonder how Sol managed to befriend someone like Hugo. But you don't think this is the appropriate time to ask him that. Was your friend any good at art as well? Friend? Oh, yeah, I already had an assigned partner for this class. But he ditched me at the last minute for some important family business. He never tells me, though. And I'm not the type to pry either. Does your friend go by the name Hugo, perhaps? Yeah, how did you know? I met him during lunch. He was on the rooftop. Typical of him. Sorry you got dragged into this mess of taking his place. You shook your head, telling him that you don't mind one bit. You observe him as he goes on and on about his friend of his. Despite him shaking his head in annoyance, you can see a lingering sense of endearment in his words. Almost forgetting the fact the short shit threatened you with a knife back on the rooftop. But seeing Sol like that, it was actually cute. Slowly taking out your sketch pad, you begin to draw Sol's various expressions as he talks. And here I thought this guy would be the type to brood a lot. Guess I was wrong. Would you believe me if I tell you that guy is one of the top students in the entire class, yet is always missing in action? He raised a brow in mild curiosity, pencil still on the pad. Really now? He doesn't seem to be that type of guy. Which part? Him being a top student or always missing in action? Shrugging, you continue on with your sketch. Sol, now taking notice of your scribbling on your sketch pad, proceed to lean in a bit closer to your face. Trying to pry the sketch pad off of your hands. Were you drawing me this entire time? Maybe. Nope. Liar. I thought I was supposed to be the one drawing you, not the other way around. With a huff, he leaned back on his chair, crossing his arms in the process, as a pout made it his way to his face, biting the side of his cheek as his lip piercing reflects the room's artificial light. Aw, come on. It's not that big of a deal, Sol. You try to cheer him up. Plus, you look really cute. Sol's cheeks turn red, his eyes widen before swiftly averting his gaze from yours. The grip on his arm tightening because the sleeve of his shirt too wrinkled. No, I saw that. It said not as cute as you. I saw that. You guys see that? I saw that. You said something? Nothing. You sure mumble a lot. It's a habit. I'm not used to talking a lot. You keep talking about your friend Hugo. You seem to be so fond of him regardless. Sol lets out a sigh, rubbing the back of his head at the thought. He knew you were right, and he knows he cannot deny that he is fond of his friend. His only friend. I owe him a lot, that's all. Enough about Hugo, though. Let's continue on with our task. Alright. I'll keep drawing you, and I'm drawing, and that's final. Boo! You pout. He merely chuckles. All right, Grumpy. You couldn't help but hold your gaze on Soul's face, the bandage on his cheek most especially. Judging from how much it covered half of his face, you guessed it must have been a huge blow. He decided to question him. You fell down the stairs or something? What makes you say that? He pointed the bandage on his cheek with the back of the pencil. He bit his lower lip, lowering his head a bit, trying to cover the bandage with his hair. You can say that. Nothing for you to worry about, though. You're guessing he must be referring to the stairs heading towards the rooftop. Knowing those flight of stairs are quite unstable, there's a huge possibility he must have fallen pretty bad. Yeah, we'll go with fallen for now. He seems quite embarrassed by the thought alone. Though you couldn't help that there's more to the story than that. Yeah, there's definitely more. Or if he's actually telling the truth. No, he's definitely not telling the truth. Either way, you didn't want to make him uncomfortable. Turning your focus on your sketch pad, you continue on with your sketch. Hope it gets better soon. Thanks. The sound of the school bell rang loudly outside the classroom walls, signaling the end of class. Your professor gives your class one last instruction before bidding his students goodbye. Soul tries to pry at your sketch pad off of your hands, probably wanting to get rid of the sketches you made of him while he was on his tiny rant. However, you are quick on your feet and shoved your sketch pad in your bag before he could get his hands on it. Soul gives you a pouty look before giving up eventually and starts packing his things as well, proceeding to head out of the classroom, waiting for you by the door. Do you have a phone? We should exchange numbers and update each other so we can do the next 2 more tasks. Soul then takes out his own phone and asks for your number. You decided out as he inputted it on his phone. Let me try to send you a message. You nodded and looked at your phone screen and saw a new notification from an unknown number. This must be Soul's. What's up? You type so differently from how you look. From the corner of your eye, you see Soul's eyebrow raised at your text. What's that supposed to mean? Nothing. He chuckled. He rolled his eyes. Your stare lingers on Soul's face. A smile is embedded on his handsome features while he looks at the block of text on his phone. You bite the bottom of your lip and recall the events that happened today. Formally meeting Crow's group, nearly getting a death sentence by meeting Hugo, and most especially, meeting Soul. Back then, you struggled to form friends throughout college, that you were convinced you would be graduating without making a single connection with, which would undoubtedly disappointed your father, and you were ready for it. You thought to yourself, these are odd people, eccentrics at most. All misunderstood people, all human, all the same. A sudden wave of determination washed over you. With a hand on your chest, you stare into Soul's orbs, making him tilt his head slightly. Soul, I want to be friends with you. I can sense that people tend to misunderstand you and your overall personality. The Soul is quiet, but his gaze remains on you with a lingering curiosity. But let me be different. I want to know you. I want to understand you, Soul. If you let me. He blinked once, then twice, then a chuckle. He puts a large hand on top of your head, then ruffles your hair. Alright then, let's mark today as the start of our wonderful friendship, Althemia Mele. He playfully pushed his hand off of your head and nudged him on the shoulder. He lets out a small laugh at your poor attempt. As to you two, Sullivan Bergmancia. Just Soul is fine, Althemia. Well, I need to get going. See you tomorrow? Huh? Oh, of course. See you tomorrow, Althemia. Giving Soul a wave of goodbye, you make your way towards the school's exit. My darling. Ooh! It's starting! My sweet, darling Althemia. See you later, pumpkin. As you walk through the hallway, your eyes caught on something on a nearby bulletin board. A poster was plastered on the large board. The Hallows Ball. Come enjoy the festive spirit of Hallows Eve. A Halloween party, huh? Seems promising. A sudden small vibration came from your pocket. Curious, you took out your phone, expecting another message from Soul. It was from Crow. Your heart leaped from your chest, recalling the events that happened earlier this afternoon. Can you meet me after class? I'll be at the front gate. Oh. You didn't send a reply. Turning off your phone, you quickly made haste to the exit. Whoa. This is okay. This is the gates? I feel like I'm entering a witch academy. You approach the school's gate, keeping an eye out for your friend. Sure enough, there stood Crow in all his glory, postured straight with his arms held behind his back, his bag neatly placed on his shoulder, and his foot tapping the concrete floor nervously. You yourself were growing nervous with each step you took as you drew closer and closer to him. When you reached his side and made your presence known with a small greeting, you noticed the way Crow's eyebrows raised in mild surprise, as if not expecting you to actually show up before him. He cleared his throat before composing himself properly, his body now facing in your direction. You wanted to see me? Yes, Lifting his bag from the floor, he slings a strap over his shoulder and offers his hand for you to take. I'd like to take you somewhere. It's a bit near the park. I'll lead if you let me. I feel like this is also gonna make a difference. I don't know. Take his arm. Hang on, let me get a drink real quick. Okay. I guess take his arm? You didn't take his outstretched hand, but rather boldly wrapped your arm around his, earning a look of surprise from his azure eyes. Do something. Oh, they're even now! How did I do that? How did I do that? Okay, he had one. Did he blink? They blink? Oh, how did I do that? He did not question you on the matter, but a wide smile made its way to his features, with a slight blush dusted his cheeks. He holds onto your arm tight and leads the both of you away from the school grounds. By the time you and Crow made it to the park, it was already sundown, and stars slowly painting the sky. Is this the place you're trying to lead me to, Crow? Not quite yet. Come here. You follow him through a thicket of thick bushes, surprised to see stony stairs. Though a bit run down, it still seems sturdy to step foot on. Looking up, you see it leads somewhere above. You and Crow make your way up to the stony stairs. Some red and orange leaves coloring the steps as you and him avoid a few puddles from the rain this morning. We're here. Come, it's a sight to behold. Whoa. Taking one last step, you see Crow admiring whatever was beyond him. His smile, bright as the eyes twinkle like the stars above. Your eyes went wide in awe upon seeing the scenery before you, replicating the one Crow has on his face. Not once did you take into consideration the idea of sightseeing within the city. Everything felt unfamiliar, intimidating even. You couldn't blame yourself for feeling so distressed about the idea of traveling, especially since you had no one else within the city to guide you. But gazing at the sea of lights that stretched out before you made you realize that you have been missing much of what the city has to offer. Looking farther ahead, you take notice of a tall tower decorated with bright neon pink lights. A little bit to its right is a movie theater next to a mall. Rows of other buildings with multicolored lights seemed endless. The more you scan the area, the more you see unfamiliar places that you didn't know existed. This is pretty! I love this. Your moment of silence while admiring the city view was interrupted by the sound of rustling grass. You turn around, finding the source of the sound. Crow has made himself comfortable lying on the ground under an old tree. You see his backpack leaning on its trunk. Aww. You keep turning your back from the city and walk to where Crow lay, deciding to keep him company. His gaze on the starry sky shifts to you as you sit down beside him, and a hopeful smile grows on his face. Judging from your face all lighting up, you like this place, huh? Care to join me? Accepting his invitation, you give Crow a slight nod that brought joy to his eyes. You stretch a bit and lay on your back right next to him, your fingers barely touching. You and Crow look at the night sky. You observe how the stars twinkle as if the rain from this morning never happened. How did you manage to find this place? You tilt your head to look at him, and he gives you a closed-eyed chuckle before his twinkling gaze meets yours. I take it that you've never heard of Lily's myth, have you, Althemia? Lily's myth? Crow points up at the old tree that stood above you, then returns his gaze to the stars. They say that this tree that the humans came in contact with was blessed by the gods that guard this land. And this very same tree here used to bear multiple fruits. They say that they never rot and are free for anyone to take. Or so, what the popular interpretation says anyways. There are other versions of the myth? Crow shrugs his shoulders. Moving his gaze from the sky back to the tree, he stares at it, as if trying to decipher something just by the mere look at it. There are other versions, yes. Some say the fruits are actually poisonous. Others says it's only meant for the gods and no humans must take from it lest they be cursed. That sounds quite gruesome. It's no wonder they would rather use the lighter version of the myth. Crow lets out a low chuckle at your statement, nodding a bit as if agreeing with you. I guess it might be one of the reasons. Hey, Althemia? He pauses before speaking again. You perk an eyebrow at him. Yeah? This seems like a silly question. No. Lay it on me. Tell me what it is. Do you believe in gods? This question caught you by surprise. You never thought of Crow as the religious type. More so be interested in gods, or maybe he's just curious by the idea of them. This may be the best moment to know for sure. I also feel like this is important. I do. Oh, I lost a point with Crow! No. That's not what I expected. I do. They are very beings that blessed our lands and soil. Back in my hometown, we would go to worship in our village patron goddess church and pray for a good harvest. You recall your visits to the village temple with your father. Being regulars, you visited enough to point where you became friends with some of those who resided within the church. Every time you dropped by to worship, you and your father would offer your healthiest crops to thank your patron. You haven't gone to church in a while, probably because the city doesn't have a church for your patron deity. Your goddess had more followers near your village all the way to the south. Crow gives you a nod of understanding. How about you? Do you believe in the gods? You turn to Crow, repeating the same question he asked you earlier. He scans your face, your eyes, your nose, then your lips. His lingering gaze made you shrink back, your heart fluttering slightly. Crow seems to realize something to himself as he returns his attention to the stars above, sighing. I don't. This surprises you, and Crow laughs at your visible shock and confusion. What? You didn't think I'd be a non-believer? If I have to be honest, no. Why so? He kind of dressed like a priest. Crow's azure eyes grew wide as he broke into one of the loudest laughs you've ever heard from him. He laughed so hard that he had to clench his stomach and wipe at the tear-stained corners of his eyes. He was still chuckling when he unbuttons the first two studs of his black polo, revealing more of his collarbone to you. Ow! Should I be looking? I will look this way. Don't worry. I look the other way. You quickly avert your eyes, finding the tree's leaves to be very interesting at the moment as you feel familiar heat rush to your cheeks. How's that? Less formal. For fuck's sake, Ichabod. It feels like I'm seeing a Victorian woman's ankles for the first time. Crow grins at your reaction. It took the both of you a few more seconds of you going back and forth with his teasing, and you reprimanding him before you finally calmed down. The next few moments were spent with you pointing at the stars and Crow teaching you the constellations with a gentle whisper-like voice. You both fell silent, basking in the peace of the night. As the silence prolonged, Crow fell deep in thought. About today, Althemia, and about the guys. So we're moving to this conversation next, huh? I've got to be honest. Daryl put me up on this little hangout while I was feeling down on the dumps. I think I have to thank him for forcing me and actually gave me the courage to talk to you after class. He lets out a breath he didn't know he was holding, refusing to meet your eyes. I just don't know if I upsetted you by suddenly dragging you into this group. I probably should have told you about them a long time ago, huh? I'm sorry, Althemia. You bite your lip. You suspected that you might have upset Crow by making him think that you didn't like the group's presence at all, and that he's forcing you to bend to his will. One thing to know about Crow is that he is never the type to demand to control or to be a king, to be a tyrant. You didn't do anything wrong, Crow. In fact, I should be the one to apologize. You speak up without thinking. Crow turns his head to look at you, his gaze swirling with confusion at your apology. I'm sorry for making you feel bad. I didn't mean to be upset. I just... You swallow a lump in your throat, trying your best to hold the tears that were threatening to spill. I just thought that you'd forget about me after. They're amazing people. Brittany's pretty, Daryl's a fun guy, and Gio's so cool, and Jess is loyal. And they're a great group. And most importantly, you're amazing, Crow. You're all amazing, but not me. I'm just not sure if I could ever be part of the group. You were always hidden in the shadows. No matter how much you tried to fit in, you were never to be considered. People treated you like someone to toss away, someone to use. I hate how much that fits with me IRL. Like, come on, why you gotta call me out like that? You are worth nothing but an extra. Okay, just rub it in. Yep. Just rub it all up. Just rub it in. And that's what she always tells you. You couldn't hold it back anymore. A sob escapes your lips. Your vision slowly burning as you feel wet droplets of tears finally sliding down your cheek from your eyes. From a moment you saw panic in Crow's expression, seemingly not expecting you to burst into tears. He reaches out to hold your hand. And suddenly, you feel a pair of arms circling around you as he pulls you closer to him, letting you sob on his shoulder. He says nothing while rubbing a hand along your back, allowing you to cry, not caring about his clothes getting wet from your tears. Once you calm down, Crow rests his hand on your back, not letting you out of his embrace. You're amazing, Althemia. I'm sorry I never get to tell you that, no matter how many times I thought of it. I just couldn't seem to find the words. But you're amazing in your own way, Althemia. You may not know it, but you're beautiful. You're funny. You're quite a phenomena. You can feel vibrations coming from his chest from the chuckle he emits. Heck, you're the funniest person I know. All I'm saying, Althemia, is that you're amazing. You have no idea how much tears you shed tonight. Sometimes you think it's silly and childish to cry over what was probably a trivial matter to some, but the urge to sob returned after hearing those words from him. Do you want me to call you the amazing Spider-Man just to prove that you are amazing? That made you giggle a bit as you wipe your tear-stained cheeks. With whatever strength you could muster, you slowly pulled away and lifted yourself up. You sit yourself up, hovering over Crow. And there you see the very same man that made you cry by literally doing nothing. His braid comes loose. He didn't know when, but his hair pulled around his head. Crow stares up at you with serene eyes, remaining silent as a gentle smile plastered on his face. There is nothing but the moon illuminating his tender features, yet to your vision, he seems to glow. He is absolutely beautiful. Oh, how you wish you could blame everything on him. If you could, you'd tell him that he's the reason for all the unnecessary feelings swelling in your chest. You'd tell him exactly how good and bad it all feels. The heartaches and the butterflies fluttering about your stomach. You want to blame him, but you can't. I'm gonna hug him. I'm gonna hug him. Hold up. I'm scared to kiss him. I'm scared to kiss him. Hug him. We'll come back and kiss him, I swear. You didn't feel as bad as before, but your vessel is not completely empty yet. Somehow just looking at Crow, at the comfort he brought you, made you want to bask in it longer until you were sure you had no tears left to shed. Leaning down once more, you bury your face in the crook of his neck, and his arms instinctively wraps around you. His hug warm and soothing as he waits for you to gather your thoughts. Crow webs circles on your back, a silent way of telling you that he was there, you were not alone, and that he'd be there whenever you needed him. He didn't say a word, understanding that you need silence more than anything right now. You couldn't thank him enough for always knowing what you needed. You have no idea exactly how long you remained in that embrace while lying down on the grass, but you feel a lot better that you are all ready to get back up to your feet. You pull away, meeting Crow's eyes that seem to ask after your well-being. Fixing his collar, he turns to you. Are you good to go? You could just read that from his gaze. He nods slightly, and it is only then that Crow completely releases you from his embrace, helping you sit up before he dusts off the grass that's stuck to his shirt. He gives you a once-over and gently swats away the leaves on your hair and clothes. You blink at him. He only smiles at you. You get up and Crow retrieves his bag, almost forgotten by the tree. He looks back at you and takes your hand silently. It was time to go. It was time to leave this magical place. You look at the stars, at how brightly they shone. You gave the sky one last glance before turning away, hand clasped tightly around Crow's as you let him lead you home. Crow walks you to your apartment, noting that he kept you out late at night. You bid Crow goodbye after he safely sees you inside, and he gives you a wave before turning on his heel and making his way down the stairs. You close your apartment door and lean on it, after heaving a puff of air. You recall the conversation you had with Crow while you walked with him on the street leading to your home. I'm going to give the guys a chance. I think I judged them too quickly. So I want to do better. I want to get to know them better. If you trust them, then I trust them too. Crow's expression was of surprise at your declaration as your determined face reflected in his orbs. Crow chuckles at your enthusiasm, giving you a friendly pat on the head. I'm glad you're giving them a chance, Althemia. I'm sure they'll feel the same. You engaged in other conversations with Crow during your walk. Topics not really being of any importance as you have forgotten them by now, save for his gentle voice and the occasional fond glances he stole at you. Time with Crow seemed to pass by so quickly, you arrived at your apartment complex before you knew it. You make your way to the living room and you throw your school bag to a random corner, immediately plopping down on your sofa as you turn on the small television. Nothing interesting is going on, save for some food commercials and movie trailers. That pizza looks good. Maybe I should order something. Reaching to your pockets and taking out your phone, you're about to dial the numbers on the television when a new notification bubble popped up on your notification bar. It's from a group chat you never seen before. After scrutinizing it, you realized that it was Crow who added you in. There's a group chat with the rest of his friends. You open it. Anyone want to go to the Halloween party this Friday? It's gonna be awesome! Aren't we all a bit too old for costume parties? Is it required? You two are no fun at all. I won't go if it's not a school requirement, much less a waste of time. Ugh. Is it? No, it isn't. But it'll be a great and fun experience for all of us. I mean, we should loosen up a bit, you know? I agree with Crow. Count me in. Pass. I've got more important things to do than that party. Now, will you excuse me? I'll be doing my leftover task for tonight. Sheesh! I stick in the mud as usual. How about you, Althemia? Me? You join in? It'll be fun. You're honestly surprised they somehow remembered you. Checking your calendar through your phone, you didn't seem to have any plans in the near future, or plans at all. You'd like to just spend your time in your apartment alone. I mean, sure. That's great to hear. I was about to say, I clicked it. It moved a little. Girl seems happy about it. You giggled. This also reminds you of something. Or rather, someone. Opening another chat, you tapped in Soul's newly added contact and sent him a message by sending the image of the same poster Daryl sent. A Halloween party hosted by the school? Yeah. I'm not quite into parties. Oh. Oh, well, that's alright. Just asking, that's all. Wait. If you're coming, then I'm coming as well. Really? Really? You plan on dressing up? I don't know. Do you? I mean, it's a costume party, so why not? I'll try to think of something then. You swear you can feel the smile behind those words. With a quick word of goodbye, you set your phone down when you heard your doorbell. It must be the food delivery. Afterwards, you ate your dinner and prepared yourself for bed. You thought about the events that happened today. Meeting the group, meeting Soul, and most especially your little hangout with Crow. Each and every moment is a special occasion on its own. Letting out a big yawn as you stretched your body. You turn to your laundry, slowly piling up, and scratch your head. We'll probably do laundry tomorrow. I really like our room. I love it. But for now, you plop yourself down on the soft cushions of your bed, getting into a comfortable position and slowly dozing off as you close your eyes, embracing sleep as the night goes. We shall pause. Because that is going into the next one, which we'll save. We'll save it here. Okay, so we... Oh, it was over here, actually. I forgot to save it. We'll go here. And... Your name contradicts with your whole glam, not gonna lie. Your name means the exact opposite to what you're wearing. If I have got to be honest. Not that you don't dress well. I mean, you look good. A pinch of red makes its way to his face. Soul bit his lower lip as he readjusts his collar. I should just shut the fuck up. He averts his gaze, biting his inner cheek. Thanks. You look good too. I should introduce myself before this gets any more awkward. Well, I'm Althemia Mele. Nice to finally know your name, Soul. Soul nods with a smile forming on his lips, then returning his attention back to the professor. This time I'll take his hand. He took his hand. In return, Crow wraps his finger around yours. His nervous smile melts into a genuine and happier one before... Does this do anything? Ah! Before he leads the both of you away from the school's gates into the streets. Okay. Ah! We're gonna go with I don't this time. You don't? No, I don't. I believe in one's hard work. Does that count? Crow merely chuckles at your statement, with a hand resting on his chest. He shakes his head slightly as if he couldn't believe he just heard you say that. I don't mind the people who believe in them. I just don't want the way some of them worship the very ground these so-called gods walk on. You scoffed. I believe that everything is made possible through everyone's efforts, be it as a team or as an individual. Their believers only give credit to these deities for everything, and it's an insult to the forgotten people who sacrificed themselves to make things happen. He recalled the townsfolk who endlessly praised and worshipped your patron deity for the bountiful harvest you and your family broke sweat and tears for. You watched as the efforts of your labor were all thrown to some invisible being, which, as far as you knew, returned nothing but calamities one after the other. It was only a miracle that you, your father, and the damned far land are still standing and your crops still thriving, even after so much damage. John notices the way your brows furrow. He says nothing, but the look in his eyes tells you that he shares your sentiments wholeheartedly. And this is why we're two peas in the same pod. How about you? Do you believe in gods? Okay, we read that. Zip. I'm scared to do this. I'm really scared to do this, but we're gonna kiss him. You have no idea where you got the guts to do the thing you did next. But the feeling of his lips pressed on yours made the butterflies rattle in your stomach, threatening to burst out of the cage. Your heart beats fast like you've just ran a marathon as you feel the heat rush to your cheeks. Throat freezes against you, and for a moment there, you thought you just made a huge mistake. You're prepared to pull away and apologize, but he makes a move you did not expect. The gentle grip that Crow had on the small of your back slithers its way to the back of your head. Fingers intertwined with your hair as he presses you closer to him, returning your kiss with a fervent sense of desperation. His other hand holds your waist in a tight embrace, not wanting to let you go. Now, of your own surprise, you break the kiss by pulling away slightly. Crow chases after you, leaning in close to capture your lips in a deeper and more passionate manner than before. You feel like putty in his embrace as he cups your cheek with one hand, his lips needily asking for more access to yours. In response, you shut your eyes tight and your arms come to wrap around his shoulders, granting his desire by tilting your head against his. Oh, that's so cute. The both of you losing all sense of the world as you fell deep into the sensation of your lips against each other. He eventually pulls away, a string of saliva connecting your lips to his own. His breaths are heavy, matching yours, and you beheld his red face and hair messier than before. He tucks away a strand of hair behind your ear before rubbing your cheek with his thumb. Crow scans your disheveled figure above him. You can see the way his eyes dilute the longer he keeps his gaze on your face. Oh! He got hearts in his eyes! Oh, it's so cute. I knew we were going stargazing tonight, but I didn't expect the brightest star to be just in front of me. You giggled at his cheesy pickup line. God, I like you, Althemia. I liked you the first time I laid my eyes upon you. I couldn't tell you because I was scared that I might lose whatever we have at the moment. That I would lose you. I couldn't bear to live a life without you. Bro, I like you too. I've liked you ever since, too. You chuckled at the silly thoughts you recall, the way you've been doubting your feelings. His feelings. His eyes grow wide, jaw finally slacking as he tries to comprehend the words that came out of your lips. He blinks once, twice, before a smile as bright as the stars above appears on his face. Is this a dream? I hope not. If I'm in a dream, please tell the sleeping me to never wake up. Oh, no. I didn't think that was gonna do a 10. 10? How did that happen? I'm scared now. If I'm in a dream, please tell the sleeping me to never wake up. I want to live in this dream forever. Will this convince you it's not a dream? You lean closer to his face and place a peck on his cheek. Maybe, but I think this would definitely convince me. He captures your lips swiftly, distracting you when he moves in to bury his face in the crook of your neck to nibble at the soft flesh. You gasp. No, not my neck. Oh. Now people will know you're mine. Hey now! Crow laughs out heartily at your reaction, and you simply roll your eyes. You couldn't stay mad at him. He dusts off the grass that sticks to his shirt before giving you a once-over and gently swatting away the leaves on your hair and clothes. You get up and Crow retrieves his bag, almost forgotten by the tree. Oh, wait. Okay. No, this is different. He looks back at you and takes your hand silently. It was time to go. It was time to leave his magical place. You look at the stars at how brightly they shone. You gave the sky one last glance before turning away, hand clasped tightly around Crow's as you let him lead you home. Okay. Now we're good, I think. Okay. Nothing happened. Okay. Back. Fix my mess up. Okay, now we're gonna go to the library. I'll head to the library today. With a hand on her hip, Brittany stares at you as if waiting for you to change your mind. Seeing that your decision is set, she loosens a sigh. Brittany wordlessly turns on her heels and walks out of the classroom, the rest of her friends falling behind her. Crow, however, stayed in his exact same spot right next to you. Noticing this, Geo, the one in the hoodie, stops. Crow? Huh? Oh, be right there. Crow paused shortly to sneak a look at you before walking towards Geo, who's moving slow and hesitant to leave your side. Although Crow did not give you a farewell glance before reaching his friend, it was Geo who glared at you over his shoulder. His gaze was intimidating and intense. It reminded you of the way predators look at their prey. You felt your heart stop beating for a moment. Confused by his apparent stillness, Crow was about to question his blue-haired companion, but Geo waved his hand dismissively. Before Crow could notice anything, Geo breaks his gaze away from yours and ushers his friend out of the classroom. You let out the breath you didn't know you were holding. What was that about? He gave me nothing but short glances and glares since I've met him. Maybe I'm not suited to be a part of their group. You shake away the negative thoughts attempting to plague your mind. Returning to your original plan, you packed up your things and proceeded to head out. Next up, the library. The rowdy hallway buzzed with noise as sweaty and tired students made their way to their respective classes. Some presumably headed to the cafeteria for a break. Several were headed to the same direction you were taking. With the library door within your reach, a smile etched on your face. You open the doors immediately, greeted by the familiar scent of coffee and library books. You've always been awed by your university's fancy facilities. In fact, the library surprisingly operates as a small cafe, serving coffee to the students who need it early in the morning until the afternoon. It is a huge hit amongst everyone, and you understand why. Caffeine is the fuel to a college student's weary soul. The aroma of a coffee somehow lightened your mood. Anticipating a short moment of peace within the library, you made your way towards your usual seat by the large window near the cafe section. Your mood dropped when you spotted an unfamiliar face occupying the chair you've come to favor. You groaned. Just great. What should I do about this? Where am I? Oh. Yeah, okay. I'm gonna do this one first. Just take the seat beside him. Ask him to move away from the seat. No, you refuse to accept this. This is your seat. Heck, you've made sure that people know it's yours by scribbling your name on the wooden chair. Okay, the last part is a lie. You'll probably get in trouble if you ever vandalize school property. But you've been in the library more than you could count that you're pretty sure even the regular students who come here know that it's your spot. Following your pride, you slowly approach the seated guy. Once you made it to his side, however, he didn't bother to acknowledge your presence, seemingly more focused on the book he's reading. You faked a cough. That seemed to catch his attention, for he gives you a small glance right after, his nose still buried in his book. This seems to catch his attention. You're in my seat. Can I have it back? He stares at you for a moment, then closes his book, swerving his body to face you while placing an elbow on a mahogany table. His reddish orbs stare right back into your own. The confidence you had 5 minutes ago vanishes in thin air as his gaze sends shivers down your spine. The dark circles under his eyes adds to his intimidating look. He raised a brow before looking around, under the table, on the seat, and even under his book before turning back to you. I don't see your name anywhere. You can feel the veins on your forehead pop out. Oy. Oh, so he wants to be a smartass, huh? Should have put my name like I planned for jerks like him. You crossed your arms, not hiding your visible irritation, earning a low chuckle from the male who is seemingly amused at your frustration. So cute. Stay, if you really want your seat back, you need to convince me to move first. I tell you what, how about a cup of coffee? If you could give me a cup, maybe I'll consider moving. You bit your inner cheek. Now he wants you to be his little servant? Who does this guy think he is? Turning your head to the nearby coffee stand right next to the exit, you observe some students enjoying their own coffee while reading or studying. Maybe I can grab his coffee and get this over it. Coffee. Alright, I'll go get your coffee then. Not sparing him a moment to respond, you turn on your heel and head towards the coffee stand. The barista, who turns out to be one of the few students who do part-time like you do, greets you and offers you their menu. You scanned its contents. You curse under your breath. You forgot to ask him what he likes. Maybe something simple will do for now. You look up at the barista, who is patiently waiting for you to take your order. I personally like mocha, but maybe he likes a latte. I'll grab a cup of latte, please. Sure thing. 1 latte drink coming right up. I don't think you'd like black. Jotting down your order and accepting your payment, the barista turns to work with your chosen drink. Not long after, she called upon your name and you thanked her, grabbing a drink from the counter and making your way back to the student in black, careful not to spill the cup's contents. His position on the seat remains the same. A leg over the other, an arm resting on the table, but the other now holding on to the book he was previously reading. The smell of grinded beans invaded his senses. He closes his book and places it on the table before finally looking up at you, then on the cup of coffee. He says nothing as you place the warm beverage in front of him. He fixes his posture and reaches out to grab the cup. He takes a whiff before taking a sip. Hey, I was right, latte. He lets out a contented sigh, a smile breaking out of his features. He blows the steam off before taking a drink, his smile never disappearing. You've got good taste. This is exactly what I wanted. You let out a smile, proud of yourself. Well, I gave you your coffee. Are you gonna move aside or not? The man just tuts at your impatient behavior. Taking his book, he stands up from his seat. Yes, I can have my sweet old chair back. Your thoughts are cut short when he takes a vacant chair and places it right next to your spot before sitting down and continuing on with his book. Your eye twitched. Well, technically you didn't say you want the whole table to yourself, damn it. Taking a now vacant seat you so coveted, you went on to do your research, not minding the guy beside you, his presence and occasional glance towards you. Time eventually passes, and the next thing you know, the school bell rang. You and the guy didn't spare words to each other, packing your things and stacking the books you borrowed on the table. Before he could get a word out, you quickly took off, rushing out of the library and not sparing him one last glance. His gaze lingers on your departing figure. Clenching the book in his hand, he bites his lower lip, hard enough for skin to break. Frustration embedded on his features, seemingly cursing at himself for not being quick enough to grab your attention one last time. Sweet and adorable darling, always quick on her feet. See you in the next class, Althemia. Okay. Think we can skip most of this. You make your way to your seat. Once settled down, you groan, placing your elbows on the desk and resting your chin on top of your hands, waiting patiently for your professor's arrival. But you couldn't help but noticing the feeling of someone staring at you. You shook it off, thinking that it must have been a lack of sleep. You look out of the window. Maybe it's the cold weather. Hearing the classroom door open, your art professor makes his way inside. His large round... Okay, wait. One, I can skip that too. Ah, okay. You curse at yourself. You can only hope you're not the only student who didn't get their own partner for this class. But upon looking around, it seems like everyone is calm and collected. Are you the only one panicking here? Unlike the rest of the class scurrying around to meet their partner, you're the only fool who is standing still. Not on the only one standing. Okay. I'd love to see some of your works then. So, would you like to draw my portrait first? Sure. Wait, let me get my things. You took out your sketch pad and a charcoal pencil as Sol relaxed on his seat. Would you like me to pose, or... do whatever you feel most comfortable in. Alright. Your eyes scanned his face. The more you look at him, the more you notice some of his features. His cheekbones, his lips with 2 piercings, his thick eyebrows, the way his hair settles down his shoulders, and his reddish-orange eyes. He's actually quite handsome. For a moment, you just stared at his eyes. He noticed it and stared back. His pupils dilating before he realized he was staring. Heat rises to his cheeks. He quickly averted his head away. Aw. Hey, eyes on me. Sorry, I'm not used to being stared at for all that long. Relax, it's just me. Plus, you'll stare at my boring face after I'm done with your portrait. Your face isn't boring. I actually think you look beautiful. He says without even thinking twice. His eyes met yours, half-lidded, and his pupils were wide. Now it's your turn to turn red. You hid your face behind your sketch pad and whacked him with your charcoal pencil. Stop saying stupid and stay still. Sol just chuckled and stilled his movements, a hand on his chest and a smile on his face. Before you knew it, the bell rang and class was over. You weren't done with your sketch, however. The conversation kept repeating in your mind, and it made it hard for you to concentrate. And like hell, you're going to show it to Sol. Come on, just a peek. It's not done yet. Boo. You chuckled. You chucked the sketch pad in your bag before Sol would grab a hold of it. He got up from your seat and headed out of the classroom, Sol coming close behind with his own bag as he leaves as well with the rest of the class. Let's force him to give up his seat. Do I look like your little maid? Just move and give me back my seat. You angrily voiced out, growing more and more impatient with the male before you. However, he seems unbothered by your threat, his eyes half-lidded in boredom before going back to reading his novel. Okay, this guy is getting on my nerves. If he doesn't want to leave, then I'm not letting him then. You huffed in annoyance and moved around behind him. He did not utter a single word and kept his nose on his light novel, though. You couldn't deny the fact that he is a bit curious about what you are planning. What shocked him next was you pulling on the chair, causing him to gasp as he wobbled on his seat. Steadying himself, he was prepared to reprimand you for your actions, but you cut him off once more. What are you... This scene's still the same. By settling yourself on top of his lap. He swore to whatever god looking down on him right now to take him. The book in his hand was threatening to slip off as all of his senses shut down, save for his eyes that remained focused on your back. His heartbeat quickens, cursing under his breath while you continue on with your work as if he isn't there. And you, oh sweet little you, slightly turn your head, giving a quick glance, your lips turned upward as if mocking him, teasing him. It's driving him insane. You, however, went along with your task, ignoring him as if he wasn't there, save for your ass literally on top of his lap. He looked around him, noticing a few glances from passing students, some rolling their eyes and some moving away, finding a different seat. The guy's face went red. The surrounding students were definitely interpreting this the wrong way. He returns his gaze back to you, who remains unbothered, sitting on his lap and seemingly not noticing the weird glances. He eventually relaxes though, still a bit hesitant on placing his arm next to yours. With a free hand, he picks up the book he had and reads through its contents once more. A minute or two passed, and you felt him sigh before closing his book. He seems to be having a hard time concentrating on his novel. Not your problem, though. Seldom we find, says Doloman Don Dunce. He reads out, making you arch an eyebrow whilst trying to ignore him, still as you remain focused on your papers. Half an idea and the profoundest sonnet. Though all the flimsy things we see at once. Is he reading through your papers? More specifically on the poem you chose? As easily as though a Naples bonnet. An Enigma by Edgar Allan Poe. Huh? Not a bad choice. Now this got your attention. No, honestly, you just grabbed whatever book that you had that your hand thought felt heavy and went along with it. You're just lucky enough that it was a singular book filled with stories and poems about this author named Edgar Allan Poe. You went through the book's table of contents and the title caught your attention. Maybe it will have the same effect to your ignorant of a teacher as it did to you. But it seems like this talking chair of yours is taking an interest in it first. Not bearing to ignore him any longer, you speak up. It's the first thing I could find that looks interesting. Nothing much, as long as I've got something to write for my report. And that's fair. But did you know this poem is also a puzzle? This piqued your curiosity. A puzzle? He nods. I like puzzles. Then with a finger, he points at the first line of the poem, then on the second. Yes, a puzzle. This is one of the few works of his that I find quite charming. Looking at where his finger is pointing, you tried to look for a puzzle he's speaking of, but despite reading through the sonnet carefully, you couldn't seem to find the puzzle he was talking about. He must be fucking with you. Trying one last time, you scanned the words. The first word of every line? First word, Bleh. I couldn't see it. Is it some sort of riddle? About what? Would you like a hint? Please? That would help me. Look at the first letter of the first line, then the second letter of the second line, and so on. He removes his finger from the paper and now observes your facial features. Your brows are furrowed in full concentration now. A finger under your chin as you look at the letters based on the hint he gave you. Am I gonna have to look at the puzzle? The poem? Oh, my sorry. Hang on. Give up. I give up. So what's the answer? It's Sarah Anna Lewis. What? It's a name? Yep, someone that the author had close relationship with. Lord. Didn't I type that name in? I don't know anymore. I see. Well, you tried. That's what matters. You look back on your paper and the poem specifically, a newfound sense of respect for the sonnet after knowing its hidden meaning. And this just adds more content in your paper, and maybe it'll help give you an even higher grade for it. Maybe getting into books isn't so bad. You lean back on the chair, nearly forgetting you're literally on someone's lap, causing you to accidentally press your back to his chest, making him jerk on the seat. This surprised you. You yelped and quickly stood up from the chair, turning to apologize to him. His previous, relaxed posture is now back to being stiff as a board. His face was bright red, resembling a tomato. Leaning forward on his seat, his chin rests on top of the table with a flustered expression on his face. I'm so sorry. I forgot I was sitting on you. Oh my god, I was sitting on him. The sudden realization hits you and you quickly want to bury yourself in the ground. The student before you remains silent, his face still burning red and his eyes wide as plates. He shakily grabs his book and quickly stands up from the seat. Without sparing you any time nor breath, he walked out towards the exit with a bit of a limp on his steps. You feel like ripping your hair out. You did all of that embarrassing shit for some guy who refuses to give you your seat in the library. You could have gone to a different spot without having to do all that. Well, there's no point in dwelling on it anymore than necessary. Returning to your papers, you stacked them up along with the books you borrowed. Glancing at the poem one last time, you couldn't help the smile that made its way to your lips. At least he gave me some useful insight on my paper. I should thank him once I see him. And I never got to know his name. You're so bad at interacting with people. Wow. Oh. Once you reached the hallway, the stranger from the library was already gone. But what surprised you was Crow's presence, followed by the same group of friends you saw this morning. Ugh. So the food fight still happens. One stat. Only that Brittany's uniform is covered with what seems to be a mix of ketchup, mustard, and a variety of oils, while Jess tries her best to wipe them off of her. What the fuck happened in the cafeteria? Althemia! I was supposed to check up on you. How are you feeling? I'm doing fine, although... Your gaze turns to the blonde behind him. Crow follows your line of sight and scratches his cheek. A drop of sweet rolls down his neck, sensing your curiosity. He turns to Brittany, the blonde woman, just waves him off, refusing to meet his eyes. Taking that as a sign to proceed, Crow explains. Things went a bit hectic in the cafeteria. A food fight broke out. And it was the best food fight ever! You should have seen the face of that red-headed bitch when you slammed ketchup on her uniform. Daryl jumped in on the conversation, startling you, and Crow at his sudden appearance. An annoyed expression made its way onto Crow's face. You nearly got all of us in trouble, Daryl. I'm just glad we got ourselves out of there before things got worse. Yeah, our knight in shining armor, Mr. Ichabod. Always to the rescue, really making use of your title as a school rep, huh? And Daryl gives Crow a little nudge. The said man just rolled his eyes. But you've got to admit, the look on Pinkie Pie was fucking hilarious. Right, Britt? You and Daryl turned to Brittany, some of the sauces on her uniform gone, leaving nothing but a stain on it. A small smirk formed on her lips as she recalled the earlier events. Well, I can't deny that it felt good having to fight back. Daryl gives a toothy smile at the blonde woman, which she returns with her own snarky smile. Crow only rolls his eyes, shaking his head at the two troublemakers. Contrary to his visible disagreement, you couldn't help but notice a small smile on his face, as if he's proud of them despite the trouble they caused. As you observed them, you noticed something amiss. Or rather, someone amiss. Jess seemed to catch on to your confusion at their lack of numbers and stepped up to explain. If you're looking for Gio, he said he was going somewhere else. I'm not quite sure where, though. I see. Not that I was actively trying to look for the guy. He actually scares me. You recall the look he gave you right before you left for the library. Just remembering it sends just shiver down your spine. You considered tugging on Crow's sleeve, wanting to seek for answers about his other friend, but seeing how he's going along with the group with a genuine smile on his face, you bite your lower lip. You couldn't bear to ruin the mood. I should head to my next class. Not sparing them any more of your time, you swiftly turned on your heel and rushed out of the scene. Ah! She's quite a runner, isn't she? Daryl perks up beside Crow's solemn face while the two stare at your departing form. Crow sighs and looks down on the floor. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. The taller jock says nothing but gives his friend a look of pity. Rubbing Crow's back and he tries to think of something. Anything to reassure the man next to him. Daryl's eyes suddenly lit up, a smile appearing on his lips. Taking advantage of Crow's vulnerability, he swiftly snatched his friend's phone from his pockets. The latter not even batting an eye at his phone that was taken. Instead, he questions him. Jacques simply messes with his phone, his tongue sticking out from the corner of his lips. What are you doing? Trying to fix your love life? You're welcome, by the way. What are you even talking about? Crow's eyes grew wide at the block of text Daryl showed him. Give that back! Daryl simply laughs at Crow's failed attempts at getting his phone back. Daryl waves Crow's blue mobile phone in the air. You've got no choice, Crow. I've already sent the message. Daryl, you sneaky bastard. He'll call me your favorite wingman after this. The jock winks. A few feet away from the men, Brittany had just simply observed the two males. They turned to each other and shrugged, wondering what Daryl could have done to get Crow flustered like that. Aw, that was a cute little thing. However, you notice something, or rather somewhat familiar. The very same tuft of black hair with green highlights set at the back, and instead of his red novel that you come to associate him with, he is now scribbling with a sketchpad. He didn't seem to notice your arrival. How come you've never seen him in class before? Is it because he's seated all the way at the back of the classroom? If that's the case, then he must have been really quiet and you probably never got the time to notice him and come and go. How odd, you thought. You make your way to your seat, not breaking your gaze at the tall, dark male. Once you reached your seat, you couldn't help your growing curiosity at whatever he was doing with his sketchpad. Coincidentally, the desk right in front of him was unoccupied. Maybe you could sit there instead. Settling with that idea, you moved to the desk in front of him and placed your things down. He remains unaware of your presence. You sit on the chair facing the opposite direction as you casually place your arms on the backrest. Aww! You observe the way he draws with his pencil. Each stroke he creates moves with such elegance that you thought he was dancing with it. A face of a person dressed in peasant clothes. They seemed to be dancing while a being larger in size was right next to them. He leaned in closer, attempting to see what he's trying to draw, but was left startled when the book suddenly slammed closed, causing you to jerk back. You tilt your head back and you meet eyes with the very same wide reddish eyes of the boy back in the library. You give him an awkward smile and a peace sign. He kept staring at you. I come in peace. Hey there. Sorry for what happened back in the library. You're my classmate. That's a surprise. I hope we'll get along. Okay. Being caught in the act wasn't part of your plan. Quickly swerving around, you are now properly facing forward, ignoring the burning stare at the male behind your head. You make your way to your seat. Once settled down, you groan, placing your elbows on the desk and resting your chin on top of your hands, waiting patiently for your professor's arrival. Hearing the classroom door open, I'm not that good at art. Everyone starts somewhere. Would you like me to draw you first then? If it's not too much of a trouble. Jess! Great, Althemia! First time partnering up with this new guy, and you've already letting him do the work. I'm no better than those past classmates of mine who would push their workload on somebody else. Not at all. Well, we'll let it slide this one time. With that, Soul takes out his own sketchbook and pencil. Sitting upright and facing you. You straightened up your back, sitting properly as if you're about to take an ID picture. Is this okay? Relax your shoulders. Feel at home. Expressionism is about expressing yourself. Just pose whatever you like. Oh, okay. Your breathing stopped. You can feel Soul's hand brush along your forehead to your ear, tucking away a stray hair that was covering your face. You could almost smell his mint in his breath. Whoa. This picture stayed, and I'm super glad it did. You're sure you were bright as a cherry by now? Soul leaned back and didn't say anything as he began sketching. His eyes hopping from the paper to your face, and you swear every time you meet his gaze, your heartbeat quickens. You averted your gaze, distracting yourself from his focus as you try to calm your beating heart. The class eventually came to an end as your professor was giving one last reminder to your class before dismissing everyone. One by one, everyone packed their things and left the classroom while some stayed, discussed more about the exhibit. Hey. Sadly, Soul isn't done with your portrait, which you were dying to see, but he said he's going to keep it a secret until he finishes it. You better not make me look funny. What makes you think of that? It's not like I gave you a mustache or something. What? What? Let me see. I'm kidding. He didn't know what came to him when he raised his hand to try and cup your cheek. He stopped midway, however, and tucked it in his pocket. You're so pretty. Did you say something, Soul? Nothing. Okay. I can just take the seat beside him. You don't feel like talking to him or causing trouble on your end. Besides, you give up the thought of getting your seat back as you drag the spare chair and placed it beside his. He looks at you from the corner of his eye. You thought he would say something, but he didn't seem to mind since he brought his attention back to the book he was reading. He continued with your report, occasionally tapping your pen on the paper. With furrowed brows, you were thinking too hard for the stupid task, but your brain came up empty for words. You feel him glance at you from time to time, but you paid no mind to him now that your report took priority. Time passed and eventually lunch break was nearing its end. You groaned, half of your paper is still empty. You weren't able to get much work done. All you did was probably go over the poem over and over multiple times in hopes that a sudden will to write will hit you. And sadly, it did not. I know that feel. For a fact, do I know that feel. You hear the guy beside you standing up from his seat. You nearly forgot about his presence and heads out of the library, leaving you alone at the table. You took a glance at the wall clock, cursing at the time. Seeing that there's no point in wasting more time here, you made your way out of the library as well. Once you reached the hallway, the stranger from the library was already gone. Okay. You don't want to deal with the stranger or anyone at all in this very moment, even if you want your seat back. Looking around, you made up your mind to settle somewhere else, preferably far from the presence of others. To your utter demise, the only vacant seat left was next to a table full of loudly gossiping students. You swear, out of all the places to do their idle and loud chatter, it had to be in the library. You don't feel like doing a research paper anymore. Heading to the fiction section of the library, you examined each book's spine, running your fingers along them and hoping that one would attract your attention. However, not a single one caught your eye among the many books you passed by. Instead, you've only gathered dust on your fingertips. You clicked your tongue and rubbed your fingers together, dusting them off. Thud. Huh? A sudden thud came from the opposite side of the shelf, before you, causing it to wobble a bit, nearly knocking a few books down. Another thump, but this one is louder and stronger than the last. A few books toppled over next to you and one nearly hit your head. Hey, watch it! You raised your voice. Silence. Then you hear a few shuffling noises behind the shelf in front of you. You let out an irritated puff, taking the few books that fell to the ground. You proceeded to place them back to their original positions on the shelves. But as you were filling up the gap, something, or rather someone, caught your attention. Through a small crack between the books, you spotted a male student with hair dyed in red and spiked up hair, donned with a leather jacket and ripped jeans, his facial piercings enhancing his intimidating look. Behind him stood another guy dressed in near similar fashion. The only difference is his hair is black as the night with blue highlights. A white tank top instead of a leather jacket and a dog tag dangling from his neck. The two unfamiliar students sneered down on someone who you assumed they pushed to the ground. That's where the thudding sounds come from. Don't make too much noise there, Mr. Creep Mickey. You don't want to get us in trouble, do you? Great. Another bullying situation. You hold your eyes in annoyance. These bullies never know when to stop, do they? Sometimes people never seem to grow out of their high school phase. The poor fellow remained sitting up on the ground, his back leaning against the bookshelf, trying desperately to hold his ground. He muttered something under his breath. What was that? I couldn't quite hear you. The red-haired bully mocked. His hand brushed behind his ears as he leans closer to the man on the ground, while his raven-haired companion laughs at his friend's antics. Man, bullying is the same, no matter where you go. They just don't seem to grow. They don't seem to outgrow the high school phase. I said, fuck off. Why, you little... You cringe at the sound of flesh hitting flesh, causing you to pull back. You got some real nerve coming here and showing your face, punk. No matter, you're nothing but fresh meat. Ugh, he looks fucking disgusting. I bet he's liking this. Why wouldn't he? After all, you asked for this, didn't you? Sick freak. This is getting bad. I should leave, or else I'll be next. You gritted your teeth, eyes squinted. You don't want to look at this anymore. But before you could shove a book to cover up the remaining gap, something glistening caught your eye. Your blood ran cold at the weapon, now within the fiery redhead's hand. Yo, how did you get that in campus? Shut up, who cares? It was a pocket knife. Let's see if you'll continue being a smartass once I cut your mouth. Shit. I've got to do something. Should I risk being caught in between all of that? What you mean? I'm stopping. I'm way over here. I'm stopping him. I've got to stop them. Leaving the remaining books, you quickly rushed out from your aisle and went across where the bullies were. Stop! You let out a loud cry. From the cry of your voice, the bullies halt in their movement. Their heads slowly turn towards you. Your attention, however, was on the fallen male on the ground, his face battered and bruised as he struggles to keep his composure. He looks up at you and your eyes meet with reddish-orange ones. As soon as he registered who you are, however, his expression turned from mild irritation to shock. He shuffles on the ground in a hurry as he tries to get up, but the raven-haired bully must have noticed this and kicked his stomach, causing him to double over and clench his abdomen. What do you want, Pipsqueak? Can't you see we're busy here? The tall, red-haired bully clicks his tongue. You can see his veins bulging from his forehead in irritation from your interruption. Can I just shave his head? That sounds like a fun way to get back at him. Standing up, he walks to where you are, pocket knife still in his hand. Uh-oh. Stop what you're doing right now. Oh yeah? And what are you going to do about it? If you hurt him, I'll scream and alert everyone in the library. The redhead just let out a mocking laugh, unfazed by your threat. He looms over you, his attention now focused on you, leaving the other male on the ground. Stop! Don't go anywhere near her. You're here for me, right? Just leave her alone. Shut the fuck up. Raven-haired landed one more kick on the student in green stomach. Taking advantage of his weak state, the bully clad in blue steps on the boy on the ground's back. Stop that! Whoa, hold it right there, sweetheart. We're not done here. Ah, shit. The bully in red before you suddenly wraps his arms around your lower back, then proceeds to bring his face closer to your own. With his free hand, he forcefully grabs your chin and jerks your head towards his. You hissed from the force he inflicted on your jaw. Let me go, you bastard! You move your face away, his hot breath fanning your cheek as you try the best to pull away from him. Oh. The redhead scans your face, a growing sinister smirk forming at his lips. Not gonna lie, you look kinda pretty. No wonder this freak has the hots for you. He turns around to give a quick glance at the person on the ground. He just chuckled at the dark glare given to him. I bet your little boyfriend wouldn't mind a taste. Before you could register what he just said, you felt a stinging sensation across your cheek, following something wet rolling down your cheek. The sensation of the bully's tongue running across your cheek made you shiver in pure disgust. You can feel tears slowly forming in the corners of your eyes. The redhead, however, does not share your sentiments. His eyes roll back in pure ecstasy, a little moan escaping his shit. I fucked up. His mouth making you want to throw up. Fuck! Taking advantage of this blissful state with all your might, you kicked him between his legs. Fuck! That's what you get! Fucking bitch! You! Why are you calling yourself out, man? You pushed him away from you with all your might and gave him one last kick on his back, causing him to fall and land on one of the bookshelves, multiple books falling on him. A thick encyclopedia landed on his head, causing him to pass out. Take that, fucker! However, your little victory is short-lived as you felt an arm make its way around your throat, proceeding to block your windpipe. The blue-haired one! You're a naughty one, aren't you? Why don't I teach you a lesson? Let go of me! You clawed the blue bully's arms around you, trying desperately for him to release you as you slowly lose air in your lungs. Your vision was slowly beginning to dark. I can't breathe. Someone help! The arm around your throat loosens. Your dizzy state caused you to lose your balance. You steadied your breathing while rubbing your throat, trying to ease the pain it went just through. The two bullies' bodies are now on the ground, all passed out, and all that's left are a pair of black shoes before you. Looking up, it was the same guy in green. The bruise on his face is still visible. He didn't say anything while handing out his hand. Accepting it, you let out a small thank you as he pulled you back up on your feet. Now that everything seems to settle down, you finally got to look at him closely. He's actually pretty tall, probably around 6 foot tall. His hair deep green, nearing black with the green streaks pulled in half. His red eyes dart around the area, then back on you, then back on a random corner. An awkward minute passed. We should probably get you to the nurse's office. I'm fine. There's no need. Meanwhile, you should get your cheek bandaged. He lifted his hand, seemingly trying to cup your cheek, but stopped himself midway, quickly tucking it behind his back and walking past you in a hurry. Your eyes trailed after him as he quickly made it to what seems to be your usual spot. After fixing his things, then set off towards the exit, not bothering to glance back one last time. Wow, that was a lot. Brittany hummed the sound of content before turning her heel and heading towards the classroom's exit, her 3 other friends following behind her. Pearl looks back at you by the door, waiting for you. Catching up, you raise your head to meet the azure orbs once more. Your heartbeat quickens within your ribcage in response. You two, stop oogling at each other and hurry up! Brittany's face. Oh my stars. Brittany's explanation made the both of you jump. You merely look down, using your hair as a curtain to hide your reddened face. Crow just rubbed the back of his neck. You two eventually followed behind Brittany and the rest of the group towards the cafeteria. The cafeteria is loud and crowded. Tables are filled with students. It's still green, so... Oh, okay, so it stays green. The cafeteria is loud and crowded. Tables are filled with students, while the rest are lined up by the counter grabbing their lunches. A groan escaped Brittany's lips as she looks around for any sign of a vacant table you all could share. What a fucking great time to not bring lunch, huh? Next time, I'm preparing my lunch the night before. I wonder why it's so crowded today. New lunch menu, perhaps? Seems like it. We'll be left with nothing else if we kept standing around here and loiter. Hey, Gio, Daryl. Oh, yeah? What is it, your royal majesty? Daryl cooed with a teasing tone. Brittany rolled her eyes at his silly gesture. Could you two look for a vacant spot while the rest of us line up? Saves us time that way. Yeah, sure, Britt. Let's go, Gio. Wrapping an arm around Gio's shoulder while ignoring his obvious irritation from the said male, the two walked away in hopes of looking for an unoccupied table. Brittany then turns to you. Alright, Althemia. I'm not sure if you have packed anything like those two did, but if you want to line up with us or go help them find a table, make a choice. I have my own lunch. Oh, that's good. Will you go join those two goons and wait for us, alright? Brittany gives you a nod and waves you off, turning on her heels. She quickly makes her way to the line with Jess following behind her. You want me to get you anything, Althemia? No, it's fine. You won't get anything for yourself if you keep idling by. Crow's shoulder shook at your statement, letting out a soft and hearty chuckle as a smile made its way on his handsome features. He turns around, giving you a wave, then follows behind the two girls, hoping to make it to the line with them. As for you, you made your way to where Gio and Daryl were. It seems that they have managed to find a vacant spot, as you saw them currently seated on a round table, merely cleaning up after the group of students who previously occupied the space. Once seated, the two boys took out what seemed to be their individual packed lunches. Before Gio is looking very intricate bento box, the contents inside which looks expensive looking as its container, whereas Daryl only has 3 sandwiches he took out from his paper bag. Your food always looks so good, Gio. I bet it tastes just as good too. Mind if I take one? No. Gio said with a flat tone, slapping the jock's hand away from his bento box. Daryl pouted, rubbing his hand before returning with his own sandwich. As he sat down across the two boys, Gio kept his eyes on you for quite a while, his gaze unwavering as he chewed on his lunch. What's up with this guy sizing you up? You and Gio stared at each other for a good and uncomfortable minute. Just as you were about to open your mouth to ask what this guy's deal is, Daryl's eyes went wide as he finally took notice of your presence at the table. Oh right, Althemia, correct? What did you bring for lunch? I mean, if you don't mind sharing, that is. Sharing what food I have or sharing the food itself? Why not both? As long as you're willing to share. Unlike this guy over here. Gio only rolled his eyes when the jock nudged his shoulders. Don't bother with Daryl, he'll take your food even if you don't give him any. Hey now, I'm not that cool. Did that to Brittany's lunch that you took yesterday. Just was kind enough to give her lunch to compensate. I was hungry. Now my foot cold shed meat. Had to make me do 3 laps around the field. While the two bicker on like children, you let out a small chuckle, eating the sandwich you took out from your own container. Maybe these guys aren't so bad that you thought they might be. Then, at the corner of your eye, you notice Brittany's familiar wavy blonde hair making her way to your table. And in tow is none other than Jess and Crow, each with their own trays of food. Move your ass aside, Daryl. I'm sitting. Oh. A loud gasp escaped Brittany's lips, her mouth open in wide shock. The food on her tray is now splattered across her white uniform. Brittany! Oops! Sorry about that. You should have watched where you're going there. Multiple footsteps came near. A trio of This the fucking Powerpuff Girls? Red? I saw what the hair is and I was just like, huh? A trio of girls shows themselves before you. The tallest of the bunch, the red-haired one, placed a hand over where her heart is and let out a mocking gasp at the mess. Brittany's eyes met with the red-haired bully. Judging from the way Brittany's face twisted with rage, they seemed to know each other. Britt, are you alright? You should get yourself cleaned. You. Fucking bitch! This is my only clean uniform. How fucking dare you? Oh, look at Miss Claire all flared up. Careful there, sweetie. You'll get wrinkles. It's not like you're not ugly already. The mean girl coos at Brittany. Her two friends behind her laughs along with her antics. You've got a bad feeling about this. The entire cafeteria breaks in a few murmurs and whispers, their attention now fixated on the group of girls. Some stopped. Oh, you can hear it. I was like, what is that? Some stopped eating while some took out their phones, ready to film to whatever happens next. Crow tried to come in between them to stop the fight, but he wasn't fast enough. Splat. Next thing we know, another loud gasp was heard. A wide smile etched itself on Brittany's face. The mean girl's white uniform now smeared with varieties of wet sauces and oils, matching Brittany's own dirtied uniform. And Jess's face filled with shock. The food from her tray is now gone. Take that, shit stain. You. Oh my god. Really? Food fight! The moment Darrow howled those words, the cafeteria went into a hectic frenzy. Food and drinks started flying across the area as each student started tossing whatever they could get their hands on. Are those trays? Ow. Althemia! Everyone stop this madness at once! A sudden wave of pain made its way to your head, and the last thing you saw was Crow calling out your name before passing out. Ow. Ugh. Where am I? Oh, you're awake. Thank goodness. Crow? You tried to sit up, but a sudden shot of pain went through your head, stopped you. You reached out to touch where the ache was coming from, but Crow stopped you by holding onto your wrists. Careful now, the nurse already bandaged your head. Don't push yourself. Crow gently pushed you back down on a medical bed. He takes a lone stool and takes a seat right next to you. What happened? After Daryl started that mess of a food fight, the principal was called in to stop it. Daryl got lucky enough to escape when he did. Gio was nowhere to be seen. As for Brittany, what about her? Well, Jess helped her out to grab a new uniform from the principal's office. And why does my head hurt so much? Someone, somehow, threw a tray, and you were unfortunate enough to get hit by it. Thankfully, I got you out of there before things got ugly. Thanks, Crow. I owe you one. I'm always there for you, Althemia. Never forget that. Anyway, it's around 1:45 in the afternoon right now. I should probably head out to my next class. You should stay here until the nurse gets back. You'll be alright alone here, right? You wanted to say no, but stopped yourself before you could. Yeah, you can go ahead. Aw. You sure? Yes, I'll be fine, Crow. You've done enough for me today. You gave him a small smile, but he did not return it. Crow squeezes your hand, quite hesitant to let you go. Eventually, he loosened his grip. He stands up from his chair and walks towards the exit. But before he could leave, he turned around and gave you one last smile, eventually closing the door and going out of the infirmary. Ouch. Why would you throw a tray? I got questions. I got so many questions and no answers. You groaned and laid back on the bed, feeling the bandage on your head. At least the pain is slowly dying a bit. Hope it didn't leave a mark on my head. You're guessing you came face to face with the edges of one of the metallic trays. Since when did trays hurt that much? And again, there were athletes in the area, Daryl being one of them. Just then, you heard the door opening, the nurse's voice echoing through the room as the clicking of her heels got louder as she drew closer. Ooh, his hand. The school nurse entered, and following her was a tall student dressed in black. He seems to be holding onto his left hand. You can see the red streak of blood overflowing. That looks bad. You sure had it worse than me. I wonder what happened. You should be thankful you didn't cut a vein. How are they able to get past with a pocket knife in the first place? The nurse sighed. It seems like she got her hands full with another student. The latter, however, didn't say anything as he let out a small hiss when the nurse dabbed some disinfectant on his wound. You sat up slowly, careful to not hit your head on anything else before stealing a glance at the student and the nurse. Your eyes meet with reddish-orange ones. Your heart races as you feel your heartbeat quicken. What an unusual color. They remind me of the setting sun. It really does, and it's super pretty. The nurse finishes wrapping around his wound, a blotch of red slowly seeping out and staining the once white bandage. However, his gauze is still fixated on you. His gaze is still fixated on you. The nurse follows his line of sight and finally takes notice of your conscious figure. Ah, you're finally awake, Miss Mele. She approached you with a bottle of painkiller she took from one of the transparent cabinets on the walls before handing a pill to you. How are you feeling, dear? Does your head still hurt? It's slowly dissipating, ma'am. Thank you. She hands you the pill and you take it down your throat. You're free to stay here for a while longer, Miss Mele, but you need to return to your class as soon as you're feeling better. You gave the nurse a nod. She in return hums in approval before going back to the taller male in black. As for you, Mr. Brugmancia, if ever your bandage gets dirty throughout the day, don't hesitate to come back here and I'll reapply it with a new roll. The taller male hummed. He turned on his heel, made his way towards the exit door before pausing. I'll return to my class now. Thanks for patching me up, nurse. Oh, soul. This whole student gives you one last look with his fiery red eyes before making his exit with a click at the door. The nurse lets out a sigh, rubbing her temples, feeling a headache surfacing. I swear, that child comes here every other day. In? Oh, you're not classmates with Mr. Brugmancia? Odd. I thought he might know you from the way he was looking at you. No, I haven't seen him around. More like you never bothered to look who was around you, since no one would even bother to spare a glance at you. Well, either way, don't get into too much trouble like him, alright? That raises a question in your head. Just how bad were the guy's injuries that he comes to the nurse's office almost every other day? It kind of explains why she's been sighing hard ever since she brought the tall male into her office. With injury as bad as a near stab wound on the palm, you can only take a wild guess. And as much as you are curious to know what transpired, you're nearly late for your next class. Eyeing the clock on top of the doorframe, you got out of the medical bed. You thanked the nurse and made your way out of her office. Don't mind me, just chilling with wrappings on my head. It's that guy in the clinic. Never knew he's in the same class as me. Is he not going to bother with his partner? Unless... Hey there. Oh, but I have this bandage on my face. Wouldn't that hinder the process? You recall the events that happened back in the cafeteria. I can simply ignore it. Or make something better out of it. Trust the process. He seems like he already has an idea of what to do. And judging from that half-filled sketchbook of his, he's quite familiar with the concept of art. Me, however, I'm not that good at art. I'm sure you're fine. Everyone starts somewhere. Plus, I can't really judge you since I haven't seen your work before. Along with this damned injury on my hand. Oh, right. Let's not stress that hand anymore. Well, prepare to be amazed. That's the spirit. With newfound determination from Soul's cheering, you took out your own sketchpad and charcoal pencil as you worked with his portrait. While you were sketching up, you can't help but avert your eyes on his bandaged hand from time to time. Seems you're quite curious to know what happened to this, huh? You weren't slick with it either. You froze when he caught you red-handed, just like the red seeping out of his hand. You stopped drawing. Sorry, that was rude of me. It's fine. This is just the usual for me. I've gotten worse injuries than this. He raised a brow at that. Not the worst. If you don't mind me asking, what happened? He paused and averted his eyes, but opened up to speak. Nothing much. Was minding my own business. Got assaulted. Had to defend myself. He talked as if it's another normal Monday for him. Your eyes furrowed. He noticed and just chuckled. No need to worry about me. All that matters is that I'm still here. He didn't say anything, however, continuing on with the drawing. Your movement slow and now refusing to look at his injured hand. This school is way more fucked up than I thought it would be. The sound of the school bell rang across the classroom and through the hallway. You quickly made a few more lines on your portrait before giving up. You closed your pad and proceeded to shove it inside your backpack, earning a confused look on your partner's face. Not even going to show me what you made? It's not done yet. It never bothered me. Can I see it? Wait! How about a small deal? I'll show it to you once I'm done with the portrait, and you still need to draw me one once your injury gets better. Sounds like a plan? You say with a wide grin on your face, trying your best to convince the male. He stares at your face for a short moment, before eventually leaning back on his chair, his arms crossed and nods along with your deal. Packing your things, you and Soul continue out to the hallway. So, there's these cute photos though. There's a lot. But I will leave this here for this episode because my throat is honestly getting raw. If I find out that there's more things we can do, I'll put that in day 2. But for now, thank you guys for watching this video, and I hope you guys Click that like and subscribe button if you enjoyed. I'm already getting tongue-tied at my own ending because my throat's like bleh. But I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye, love pups. Love y'all.